Hey guys, so today I'm finally making that video that I've been leading you guys on for like a month now about how I dyed my hair from blonde to this dark brown color that I have now. To give you a little background about my hair is naturally dark brown. I actually have about 3 inches of roots growing in right now. So you guys can see this is pretty much the natural hair color that I started off with, except my hair has been processed like 3 times and bleached to death. Around 2 years ago, in my senior year of high school, I started balayaging the bottoms, just bleaching it like 1 or 2 shades lighter, and that was kind of just my gateway drug into this whole hair dyeing fiasco. Around a year ago, I started this mission to go platinum blonde because I had it in my head that if it looked good on Amanda Steele, it must look good on me, which was kind of flawed logic, just a little bit. So over the course of the first half of my year in college, which was this past year, I bleached my hair around 3 times, progressively each time it getting lighter until I achieved what was approximately platinum blonde, although I was fighting off brassiness like every single day. It was ridiculous. Around 3 months ago, I dyed my hair like a dark ashy brown with a box dye, which, let me tell you, professional colorists are not lying when they say don't dye your hair with box dye. The dye looked good for around 2 weeks, but then it started fading again, so my hair just faded back to a kind of weird, like muddy blonde. And all the while my roots were growing in, making this even more of a mess. So basically around like a month to 3 weeks ago, I decided that it was enough and it was time to go back to dark brown hair. Here are some shots of what my hair looked like right before I dyed it. It was a pretty light blonde, and then obviously there were like an inch or 2 of dark brown roots growing in. So basically my goal was just to cover up the bleached parts of my hair and blend it as seamlessly as possible with my natural roots so that as I grow out my hair, I don't have to worry about dyeing it anymore. Although my hair was bleached beforehand, I think this process would work similarly for somebody who has naturally blonde hair. You just kind of have to adjust it for the undertones of your hair. So if there's one thing that my whole mainly disastrous hair dyeing journey had taught me, it was that I need to do a strand test. I had never done a strand test in the past, and my hair had pretty much every time turned out a little bit jank. So I had bought 2 different colors of this Wella Color Charm Demi-Permanent hair dye. Sorry I don't have the box with me. This is just what the tube looks like, but the box is like the same color. You can get it at Sally Beauty. I think they were each around like $4, so it's pretty affordable. The 2 shades that I had gotten to mix and play around with were 5R, which is this kind of medium brown chestnut color, and 3N, which was a neutral, much darker brown color. The key thing to remember when going from light to dark is that if you just use the color that you want to end up with, like if you want to end up with a neutral hair color and you just put that over blonde, you're going to end up with a kind of green toned ashy color. So you need to adjust for that by filling with a little bit of extra red dye, and that's what I had bought the 5R color for. So to do the strand test, I just separated a little bit of my clean washed hair. I picked a little nondescript section that if I completely fucked up the color, it would be okay and I could hide it while my hair was down or up in a ponytail. So the first color I tested was just pure 3N, just the neutral darker color dye. And then for the second strand, I mixed equal parts of the 5N with my 3N dye. And then I mixed both of these with a 2:1 ratio with 20 volume developer. On the package, the dye tells you that you need to use specifically this Wella Color Charm developer, but I found that any 20 volume developer works, so I just use the Salon Care brand because it's the cheapest. Using this little artist fan brush that I have, although any type of brush or just your fingertips works to spread the dye, I applied the 2 different dye mixtures to do strands of my hair, waited 20 minutes per the instructions, and then just washed it out in my sink. As you can see, just using the 3N resulted in a kind of green swampy color that wasn't really what I was going for, whereas the 5R and 3N combination gave me a much more natural looking color. So with that in mind, I mixed the rest of my dye using approximately equal amounts of the 3N and 5R as my strand test had shown. Luckily, when you're dyeing your hair dark, it's so much less complicated than when you're bleaching it. I sectioned my hair into around 3 vertical sections just so that I could apply the dye evenly and make sure I didn't miss any spots, but I didn't necessarily have to use oils or anything fancy. I kind of just slathered it all on there and tried not to dye too much over my roots to make them even darker. In an attempt to get a little bit of reverse highlighting action going, I decided to dye the front pieces of my hair last. That way they would process for less time and therefore fade faster and be a little bit lighter. And I feel like it kind of at least worked. I feel like these parts are a little bit lighter than my natural hair color, so it looks like I got some subtle highlights done. Another lesson from all my years of hair dyeing has been, even if you think that you've covered all of your hair and there isn't any possible dry patch left, there is some hair that you haven't dyed yet. So I ran my hands through my hair for around the full 20 minutes that my dye was developing, just to try to coat any strands that I had missed. I would especially recommend doing this if you have thick hair like I do. I was also a little bit scared at this point because my hair was looking very, very dark, but it all turned out fine when I showered. Then after my 20 minutes of processing time were up, I hopped in the shower and rinsed it all off until the water ran pretty clear. I didn't use shampoo or anything, I just rinsed it off with water just to give the dye the best chance possible to stick to my hair. I did use a little bit of conditioner to try to repair all the damage that I've done to my hair. At the end of the shower, I rinsed off everything with cold water so that it would kind of help seal the cuticle and, again, give the dye a greater chance of staying in my hair. So it has been a couple weeks since I've dyed my hair, and the color has faded very minimally. When I first came out of the shower, it was a little darker. Here I'll insert some clips of when my hair was a little bit fresher after the dyeing process. I would actually recommend, if you're going darker, to dye your hair just like a tiny bit, like half a shade darker than you want it to end up being, because as you shower, it's going to fade out over the next couple weeks. So that's pretty much the dyeing process. It's pretty simple. In order to maintain my hair color, I'll show you which products I use. My main shampoo is actually this L'Oreal Everpure sulfate-free cleansing balm. So it's not like a real shampoo that lathers, it's kind of one of those co-wash situations. And I've taken this bottle and added some of my 5R Wella dye to it to create kind of my own like purple shampoo, except it's not purple, it is just hair color. So every time I wash my hair around once or twice a week, I'll just leave this mixture in for like around 5 minutes in the shower, which will help refresh my color and prevent it from fading. On days when my hair is really grubby or really oily, I will use this Eversleek sulfate-free color care system. Basically any sulfate-free shampoo is fine. Make sure you check the ingredients list on your shampoo though, because a lot of color-safe shampoos use sulfate in them, which is like the main ingredient that will deteriorate non-permanent color. Overall, I'm so happy with my hair. I'm so happy that it's dark again. I definitely learned my lesson while I was bleaching my hair. I'm glad that I had like a fun time and experimented, but ultimately I think this looks so much better, so much more natural, and I'm excited to grow my hair out back to its natural color. So that's all I have today. Thank you so much for watching. As always, if you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and subscribe to my channel for new videos every week, except for around 3 times a year where I just disappear for a month unexplained. See you guys next week. Bye!